Have you ever been on the course of doing something and you just got knocked off course? Or you've been depressed and you're wondering why you still continue to be depressed? The reason why you're stuck in this cycle and you cannot change right now is because you are not focused on the right things. Now, in this video, I'll guarantee that after watching this, you will know how to refocus so you can get back on track of living the life that is worth living. So you guys sit back and we're going to talk about it right now. Now, I've recently been in a season of refocusing. And the reason why I've personally been in a season of refocusing is because I am now in a position of my life where I know and I have the intent that I cannot stay in the same place that I am, nor can I stay in the same place that I was. And sometimes, even when I go through this myself, I feel as if there is like a cycle. Sometimes you go day in, day out doing the same thing over and over again, and you're not really seeing any results to your goals, nor are you seeing any results towards the life that you really want to live. Sometimes this can be I just go to work and I come home, have dinner, and I rinse and repeat the cycle over and over and over again. This is where refocus has to be a decision that you make, not even for yourself, but also for the people around you that are impacted by the decisions that you make. So what refocusing looks like is you being able to focus in on the things that you can control versus the things you cannot control. Now, in this, there's a huge difference, and there's something that we really don't talk about or don't really understand sometimes, because what we try to do is we try to control everything. You may have perfectionist tendencies to where you're just like, hey, I want to control everything, or I need things a certain type of way. And this doesn't necessarily mean that you have to look like you're like a control freak, or you have to, have things color coordinated, or you have to have your bed a certain type of way, or, your environment a certain type of way. That's not really more so what I'm saying. But perfectionism really comes in the form of you being really upset if things don't go your way. That's probably the most simplest and most common form of perfectionism, and you have a really hard time. Now, the issue is when you have perfectionist tendencies is that you are very limited to your idea of expanding what it is that you need to refocus on, or what it is that you need to focus on in general. And I always have this saying as well too, perfectionism is something that really isn't real, for real, because if you think about perfectionism, what is perfectionism? Perfectionism is somebody who acts in accordance of trying to be perfect or have things their way go their way all the time. And in reality, if you guys been on this earth, I've been on this earth for 35 years, I know that things don't always go your way, nor will they always go your way. There may be opportunities in which you may have things go your way, but typically they may not go your way. So this is where the refocusing has to come in, is understanding what is it that you can control versus what you can't control. Perfectionist tendencies, you may tend to try to control the things you cannot control, thinking that thing that you're trying to control may change over time, or if you have a little impact or a little intervention with that thing, the thing will change and go your way. And this is where you need to learn how to adapt. The faster you're able to adapt as a human being, the easier your life can be. We live in a society now, again, there's things that's ongoing and changing all the time, but sometimes we're so stuck in our ways and we don't know how to adapt. And when we don't know how to adapt, we don't know how to evolve. And I'm not saying adapt to, status quo or, keeping up with the Joneses or things of that nature, but you adapting in the way that is making your life not being so resistant, but being resilient. Again, you being more, not being resistant, but being more resilient, and being able to adapt on certain issues or certain things that may not be in your favor come into your life. Now, the refocusing is focused on the things that you can control. What can you do in these situations? What can you do in times of adversity? What are the things that you can control in difficult situations? Sometimes it's very hard to identify what are some of the things that you can control, especially if there's a difficult situation, such as like a loss in your family, such as finances. Your dreams and aspirations aren't really coming as fluid as they should or as you would like them to, but there's always something you can control. And the one thing I always recommend that folks try to control, even in these situations, is control your thinking. what are your thoughts around this certain thing? What is your thoughts around the event or circumstance that you're in? Because there's always multiple ways in which you can view something. And many a times, just with our human mind, we are very instinctive of leaning towards the more negative thing or leaning more towards the thing that is going to cause us to be more depressed as opposed to being more optimistic. Now, this is a skill set and it takes time to develop, but with practice, you can have an optimistic outlook and be able to focus on the things that you can control, because the things you can control is what's really going to dictate the outcome of the circumstance and the situation that you're in. By you being resistant and trying to control the thing that you can't control, it's not really going to work. It's not going to be in your favor. And this also reminds me of a story in the Bible as well, too. If you guys are familiar with King Solomon, when he first took the throne after his father, King David, had passed away, he was left with a huge responsibility. King Solomon was left with a huge responsibility. He was left with the kingdom that he needed to rule. And one thing that I admire about this part of Solomon's story in the beginning of him being a king is that he didn't actually go to God and ask him for things that he can't control. He didn't ask him for people to listen to him. He didn't ask for people to, he didn't ask God with this big task to just say, hey, just let everybody just do what I say and just make it easy for me. So what King Solomon did, he went into a deep sleep. And what King Solomon asked when he was dreaming in his sleep was, God, give me the wisdom to know what to do with this. So Solomon's now asking in First Kings, give your servant therefore an understanding mind to govern your people, able to discern good and evil. For who can govern this is your great people. Now Solomon asked for discernment. Now Solomon asked for discernment and wisdom. He didn't ask again for people just to follow him. He didn't ask for just things to be easy. He asked for him to have the wisdom and the discernment to rule the people. After he made this request in his dream, God then responded, because you asked this and have not asked yourself for long life or riches or for the life of your enemies, but have asked yourself to understand and discern is right, is now do according to your word. Indeed, I give you a wise discernment mind. The reason why I like this story and I feel like it's super relevant even to refocusing is, what are you really focused on? Are you really focused on you having a better understanding of your situation? Are you in a space where you're trying to have better understanding of how you can develop wisdom as opposed to just wanting things to change just for your benefit? Whatever season you're going through right now is a season. And it's exactly that. You think about a season, seasons aren't meant to last forever. Seasons aren't meant to be for a certain duration of time. Many times it's not a duration that we really want, nor we can really anticipate, but seasons are exactly that. They are brief interruptions in your daily schedule. And in those seasons is where your character can really be developed and it can help you get through other seasons. We recently had a hurricane here in Houston, and this is one of my first hurricanes. And one of the things, especially going through a season of a hurricane and me being from California, not really being able to experience or really be prepared for a hurricane, one thing that I know now is how to prepare for the next hurricane, because this may have been my first hurricane, but I know it's not going to be my last. So what did I do to prepare? I got flashlights now. I got, a little portable generator. I got things in case the power goes out for 3-5 days like it did this time, right? So understanding that sometimes we can't control our environment. We can't control those things around us, but what we can control is how we adapt and how we respond to this. So understanding when it comes to you in your life, and if you want to live a life worth living, you have to learn how to adapt. You have to learn how to take seasons as a way to develop wisdom. And you have to understand that you cannot control everything and to only focus on the things that you can control. I appreciate y'all for tapping in. I hope this video was helpful for you. Until next time, y'all take care. Peace.